Okay, it's now March 12th. We're going to start Module 2 today. So I have 6 topics I'd like to review with you over the next few minutes here. First of all, I want to just recap briefly Module 2, our problem identification and general needs assessment. You should all find my feedback in the gradebook. The peer learning teams are really asking productive questions. Just continue contributing to your team members' curriculum development, and we'll keep that going throughout the term. But I was really pleased to see just terrific questioning and what to me looked like very helpful questions and comments to your team members. I hope those receiving it felt it was productive. And by this way, you'll see curriculum development process and action beyond your project, because part of what I hope you gain from this course is to see the curriculum development process across a range of programs. So I hope that's working for you. Okay, secondly, we're going to now transition to Module 3, which is Targeted Needs Assessment. And we start today, March 12th, and the module will be completed on the 21st of March. So the reading, of course, is Chapter 3 in the 6-step model book. And go ahead and post your questions, comments about this module to the Module 3 discussion board. I thought we had some really productive conversation. Thanks to all of those of you who posed those questions, and I'll keep responding to them, and others should feel free to jump in. So thirdly, the step 2 assignments are by this Thursday. Please post your response in the Google Drive, as you did in Module 2, about your targeted needs assessment. There's 3 questions there around your describing your targeted learners and their environment, first of all. Secondly, what information about your learners and the environment are unknown to you, and how would you collect information for this targeted needs assessment? And finally, in what ways did political relationships and other factors in your context affect the needs assessment, targeted needs assessment process? So that'll be done by the 16th of March, Thursday, and then by the 19th of March, please provide feedback, questions to your peer learning team members. Okay, we talked about this last week. This is point 4, that in most curriculum development models, there's simply a step called needs assessment, something like that. I think this book has broken those out. I think that is helpful. And as we talked about last week, step 1 is building the foundation for meaningful objectives, and you've all done that now. So this week, it's linked because we're going to refine that foundation with a targeted needs assessment that looks at the specific learners being served in your curriculum, as well as a specific learning environment. So these are interlocking steps. Often they're considered together. Okay, I just have a couple more points. You can read the chapter. It's a lot of good information, detail in there. But I want to make a couple of points about the needs assessment. The first one is that needs assessments, these targeted needs assessments, serve many functions. Certainly a major one is it can provide you solid data and information for building your curriculum, and that's not to be understated. That is a very important function. But in addition to that, and the chapter talks about this, they outline 5 other reasons these targeted needs assessments are important to do, and some of the consequences. First of all, it allows your problem to be framed properly. Secondly, it allows stakeholders to be involved in the process of finding solutions and building relationships among those who have a stake in the situation. So you see a little bit of the model of the planning table model that we talked about here, how important it is because as people are involved in decisions that affect them, they are more likely to find them useful and positive, and to engage in productive conversations about them. Thirdly, it provides confidence. These targeted needs assessments provide confidence that resources are being used effectively. It aligns resources with strategy. Fourth, it prevents duplication of what is already done. And sixth, or fifth, and really critically important, it's really the first step in engaging your learners. So these functions, while they are not specifically about the information that you're going to use to build the curriculum, have these other consequences that will be eventually very helpful to you in having a successful curriculum. Okay, the sixth and final point I want to make is made in the book, but I really want to stress this, that most needs assessments, have you survey the learners, and the focus is on the learners themselves. But I think in a unique and important way, this chapter talks about both, understanding and targeting your learners as well as the learning environment. So I think this is a very important and fairly unique approach to curriculum development. I just want to highlight a couple of things there. Certainly targeting your learners, their past experiences, the gaps in their KSAs, their strengths and weaknesses. You're going to get some good information that's going to lead you to develop what I would call your formal, visible curriculum. The thing that you're going to write down on the papers, that articulate the curriculum and so on. But also this step asks you to target your learning environment. So that means looking at existing curriculum, looking at needs of key stakeholders, and really especially important is looking at that environment in terms of the reinforcement of the learning that's going on in the formal curriculum, because the learning environment is also part of your overall curriculum that affects the attitudes and the behaviors of learners. And there's an aphorism that I think captures this, which is, if you put a good person in a bad system, the system wins every time. And so it's really important to understand not just what your learners need, but how those learning outcomes are going to be reinforced in their context of practices going forward. And these experiences, I think this learning environment, as the book explains, are known by terms such as informal or collateral curriculum, or even the hidden curriculum. So I think the book is very helpful in asking you to look at the targeting the learners and targeting the learning environment. So I'll look forward to your contributions in the Google Docs on this next step of the curriculum development process, and to our conversations online. So be in touch over the next several days. Thank you.
The pause button. The blue one?